Anthony, you think there is some small chance that the government shuts down crypto effectively?
Listen, so many things that have happened that are unexpected, Brian, and I've been in the Wall Street long enough. Anything you think that cannot happen ends up happening. So I don't want to rule anything out, but the decentralized mechanisms of Bitcoin make it impossible for the government to destroy. As an example, the Communist Chinese Party, the Communist Party in China, decided to ban Bitcoin and ban Bitcoin mining. 10% of the mining takes place in China, 15% of the transactions take place in China. So, I don't see that happening. Having said that, I understand Senator Warren's view. I'm a little troubled and concerned by Jamie's view. I think he's one of the smartest people in financial services. So one would have to ask a follow-up question to Jamie Dimon about the role that JP Morgan's playing in the cryptocurrency space, the JP Morgan coin, the research that they're doing, which is very bullish on Bitcoin itself. And so there's a lot of things going on underlying at JP Morgan that contradict what the CEO is saying. And maybe at some point someone will ask him that and why there is that contradiction. But I don't see Bitcoin going anywhere. And remember, there are billions of people around the world that are underbanked or unbanked, Brian, and they want this asset. And this asset is proliferating in places like Africa and South America. So very, very hard to kill an asset like that. But I hear you, and the market is climbing the wall of worry. I guess it's up 130+% this year.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you join the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the cash out. And we have Scaramucci asks, will the government ban Bitcoin and crypto? Guys, we know the central banks were behind Bitcoin and crypto from the beginning. Every pump and dump, we see the Fed fingerprints. And Scaramucci talks about China banning crypto. But we see Hong Kong moving fast forward in crypto, and Scaramucci doesn't talk about that. We know China is using Hong Kong as a straw man. And when Scaramucci talks about Jamie Dimon, he had a perfect time to talk about the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And it never gets talked about in mainstream media. Whether robots, algorithms, and drones rise to take over this economy, and now they have money. And that's Bitcoin and crypto. Remember, crypto means hidden message, hidden meaning. This money is for the machines. And we have Brock Pierce, the mighty duck. Sounds like a politician in this interview. Says that one of his friends just happened to sell at the top and bought back in at the bottom. Now, he states that regulations should have been done 10 years ago, and the U.S. is not too far behind in crypto. We have time to catch up. Guys, don't forget the United States gave the emerging markets all the technology. Remember, the way the United States is set up, the Fourth Industrial Revolution wouldn't work. We have too many rights and plenty of privacy. The United States is behind on purpose because they have to bring the people to their knees in order to bring in this digital transformation. And Brock talks about speaking about crypto at the United Nations. Yes, you heard that correct. It doesn't matter what organization you talk about, the World Bank, IMF, BIS, all the central banks, they're planning for crypto. And how do you control the masses? You give them your education. And that's the reason why I tell you it's so important to educate your friends and family, yourself, especially your kids, because they're not going to educate the kids on the underlying technology. They're just going to show them how to use it. Of course, once you get to college, then they start educating you, but by that time, you're already indoctrinated. In the current educational system, Rockefeller stated he wanted workers, not thinkers. And now in the Fourth Industrial Revolution, they need thinkers, not workers, because the robots, algorithms, and drones are about to take over the economy, and there's going to be only a small percentage of people who will be able to take advantage of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Well, I think there's a few drivers. One, first, what took us to the lows. That was trust, having been broken by Terra Luna, BlockFi, Celsius, FTX. And, when trust erodes, things come down. And so we had to go through that sort of process of correction and then eventually faith restoring as people remember the underlying premise that this technology is real and it works, and that new and better stewards and custodians will rise to fill those places where others have fallen. And then, what are the drivers that, get the markets moving again? Clearly, the ETF is something that everyone's excited about the prospects of the public being able to access it, which is less so much that as it is institutions that, due to their charters, may not be able to buy crypto. Their charters require, custodial sort of services. It may have to be certain public markets, exchange, whatever. And so the ETF should open the market to real institutional buying, which I think is what people are excited about. And then, eventually markets can only stay down so long before even those that have been sitting on the sidelines holding dollars, eventually want to dive back in. I mean, one of my friends runs one of the biggest institutions. I'm like, why weren't you managing all my money? He sold everything at the top, and they bought everything back in at the bottom. It's like, wow, clearly I'm not the best trader. But some people, time markets very. One of these real bull runs, and this is looking like it. It looks like Christmas has come early. Well, actually, let's say beginning of Hanukkah. We'll credit this one to Hanukkah. The crypto community is going to be very happy, and the kids will hopefully all be receiving better gifts, more joy. And so I think that this is looking like a very real bull run. This doesn't feel like, I think that this is the next one. And every time we find ourselves in one of those bull runs, we do find all-time highs. And if it usually happens, it blows the roof off. And so, is $150,000, where we're going to end up? I have no idea. But is it possible? Certainly, and it's also possible that, we find ourselves falling again if we find another one of these terrible events. If another, call it bad actor, has done something that causes a major loss for the industry. These are the things that ultimately chill the markets and stop whatever momentum. But we've got momentum on our sides right now. Wind is at the market's back, and hopefully it takes us all the way through the holidays into next year with an all-time high, and God willing, $150,000 Bitcoin. I mean, the idea that this has been attempted for a decade now.
Right.
If an ETF had been made available to the American people when Bitcoin was at $100 or $200, how much wealth would have been created for the American people? The regulators in this instance prevented the American people from being the beneficiaries of this incredible period of wealth creation, and it ended up mostly in the hands of the internationals. And so this bothers me. Regulation, I support sensible regulation, protect, the people from bad actors and things. But I don't think what's happened here is ultimately in the best interest of America. What made America great were the capital of innovation, the American dream, entrepreneurialism, and the idea that innovation is being stifled in the U.S. because of regulators trying to regulate by enforcement, I think is a problem. And so I hope our regulators start enforcing the law rather than trying to create law.
What will it take for the U.S. to catch up? Is it too late for the U.S. to catch up?
No, it's never too late for the U.S. We are still the capital of innovation, despite all of the actions that have, negatively impacting us. We're still the United States. What is America's greatest asset? The American people, and the ingenuity that comes from the American people. The Americans are still the greatest inventors, the greatest creators in the world. Where do most of the great ideas still come from? Here. And the reason why is the American dream. It's because it's a place where if you fail, you can get back up again. And because if you fail and you can get back up again, that there's an opportunity for redemption and second chances, because America has those principles built in, we have the freedom to create like nowhere else. I mean, Dubai has done an amazing job, of changing the law. If you had a business that failed in Dubai and you went bankrupt, you went to prison. They changed the law, knowing that they want entrepreneurialism and innovation in the UAE. So they changed the law so that failure was a possibility. Most of the world does not forgive failure, and therefore people don't take the chance. And so it's in our culture, it's so ingrained, even if our government screws up for a while, you can't change what's in our DNA. So it will take a while. So don't count America out, no matter how far behind.
I was speaking at the UN. One of the topics I understand was crypto. Can you take us through that discussion?
So I took a role in the United Nations earlier this year, but I've also had my own organization for a couple of years now, a few years, the United Council of Rising Nations, which is a very narrow part of what the UN does, which is I talk to world leaders about innovation. Innovation is a tool for transformation, so unicorn.org. In the same way that tech startups can be unicorns, so can nation states. What made America great? Innovation. Look at Israel. It is a startup nation. And so the idea is if companies can be unicorns, why can't nation states? All you have to do is embrace the future and say yes to innovation. And so my speech in the United Nations yesterday was around at the inaugural event around inter-university, right? How do universities and education come together? How do we educate the next generation, empower them with the tools and education necessary to be successful? Clearly, within curriculum in schools, we need to be educating people on the future. And clearly, if we want to see this technology really become pervasive, it needs to become part of the education system. And it's worth talking about President Bukele, the president of El Salvador. That's what they're doing. It's going right into the school system. Teach people financial literacy, teach people how to use a tool to do these things. If you want to empower the youth to have the brightest, best future, give them the tools, teach them the things they need to know. And so it's an important conversation. Grateful to have been a part of this inaugural event to get the education system across borders, across nation states working together. And my position and what I speak to always is innovation as a tool for transformation.
Going to a different economy. And we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in an index, in ETFs, are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. We will, and if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting at more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Basak. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and you know, when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the new World Order book, plus the 3 kids books, is time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the Fourth Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.